One useful thing for right triangle trigonometry is to measure these things called angles of elevation and angles of depression. This short little video here is going to talk about what those actually are. So, reading this, during their hike, Andrea mentioned that she looked up to see Bonita. In mathematics, when you look straight ahead, we say your line of sight is a horizontal line. From the horizontal line, if you look up, the angle from the horizontal to your line of sight is called the angle of elevation. Likewise, if you are looking down, the angle from the horizontal to your line of sight is called the angle of depression. So let's make sense to what these actually mean here, what this actually means here. So let's say you're a person. Here's Mr. Lems being an awesome artist right here. Ooh, haha. Let's say, here's, I was going to draw here, but I'm not going to. So let's say you're looking straight at something right here. This line of sight, you're looking straight at it. It's called a horizontal line of sight. If you happen to be looking at something up from that horizontal, so say you're looking at something up this way, this angle right here is called an angle of elevation. If you happen to be looking down at something, this angle right here is called the angle of depression. So we use these a lot, and a lot of the times this will form right triangles for us. And so we can easily figure things out. So look at this description here. After looking at this description, Andrea mentioned that her angle of elevation to see Bonita was about 23.5 degrees. They both agreed. Bonita then said her angle of depression to Andrea was about 66.5 degrees. Andrea agreed that it was an angle of depression, but said Bonita's angle of depression was also 23.5 degrees. Who do you think is correct? Let's just right now draw this scenario, not really think about anything. So if we go back to the scenario here, they're on a hike. They're probably going up a hill of some kind. Like, yay, that's a lame looking hill, but it's, got grass, whatever, okay? Andrea is standing down here. Bonita is on top of the hill. This is my favorite part about trigonometry, is I can draw ugly pictures and nobody minds. Andrea mentioned that her angle of elevation, so she's looking up at Bonita. This is Andrea. This is Bonita. And she says her angle of elevation, which would be this angle right here, is 23.5 degrees. Bonita then said her angle of depression to Andrea. So angle of depression, so her horizontal line of sight is right here. So her angle of depression is this right here. Says her angle of depression was about 66.5 degrees. But Andrea says, no, your angle of depression has got to be the same as mine. So what do you think? Is this 66.5 degrees or is it 23.5 degrees? When looking at Bonita up here, there kind of is two different angles. If I were to draw one straight down, that's a nice straight line. If I were to draw a line straight down, we kind of have two angles right here. I'll tell you right now, one of them is 23.5 and one of them is 66.5. Which one is which? Take a minute, think about that. If you need to pause the video, think about that for a minute. Which one is which? If you remember our discussion when we did parallel lines and a transversal, these two angles have a special relationship. They're called, oh gosh, the name left me. Alternate interior angles. They are called alternate interior angles. What do we know about alternate interior angles? They are the same. So this angle right here is really the 23.5. Okay, and this angle right here is the 66.5. Beautiful drawing. As I said, this is one of my favorite parts about trigonometry is I can draw and it can look bad, and that's okay. So what I want you to do for the rest of this module, at least here, is we've got some pictures here. Just draw them. Draw them and see if you can identify an angle of depression and an angle of elevation. What has an angle of elevation? What has an angle of depression? And you no need to find anything, but just draw the picture. So like number one, Jill put a ladder up against the house to try and reach a light that is out and needs to be changed. She knows the ladder is 10 feet long and the distance from the base of the house to the bottom of the ladder is 4 feet. So draw, I'm not going to draw all of it here, but draw Jill. This is what Jill looks like. That is totally what Jill looks like. There's a building there, a ladder. Kind of draw and then see if you can also maybe label, is there an angle of elevation? Where would that be? And an angle of depression. Where will that be? Okay, so go ahead. You can work on those. There is a way for you to submit those onto Canvas. I would love to see your drawings, see all your beautiful artwork. That would be great. And have fun.